Liz Truss has said she is prepared to be unpopular with her tax policy as she believes it will ultimately benefit the British economy. Talking to Sky News political editor Beth Rigby in New York, the Prime Minister defended any tax changes her government will make at the end of the week and said she will do what she has to do to get the economy growing again. She also dismissed concerns about government plans to borrow more instead of taxing energy companies' profits, a windfall tax, and said she does not accept cutting taxes as unfair. Welcome to Savvy Economists. Today we would be talking about the tax cuts proposed by the new UK Prime Minister. They are claims that it is a means of enriching already wealthy individuals and may not have any effect on the lives of the common masses. Liz Truss maintains that even though the rich would benefit from it at the early stages, but it surely would be beneficial for the economy. We would be exploring both claims in the video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Liz Truss's plans for an energy price freeze and sweeping tax cuts will give Britain's richest households twice as much financial support with living costs as the poorest households, according to a leading think tank. The Resolution Foundation said the Prime Minister's energy package, announced hours before news of the death of the Queen last week, would come with a colossal price tag for taxpayers that was poorly targeted to help those most in need when combined with tax cuts promised in her leadership campaign. It said the richest tenth of UK households would receive €4,700 in support, on average, from the government's energy price guarantee and cuts to national insurance, far over the €2,200 support for a typical household in the poorest tenth. The intervention comes as details of the new Prime Minister's plan to support struggling households remain unclear after she chose to hold back from publishing the costings for her proposal until a mini-budget, expected to take place next week. The Resolution Foundation said the plan to limit an increase in the cost of a typical household energy bill to €2,500 for 2 years from October would cost about €120 billion. It warned that Truss's plan to avoid a fresh windfall tax on energy producers would mean heaping the cost on taxpayers, with as little as €1 in every 12 euros spent on energy support for households recouped directly from higher taxes on energy firms. The think tank said the average level of support for households would hit €2,000 this year because of the energy price guarantee, as well as financial support for all households and additional one-off payments for those on means-tested benefits. Taken together, it said a similar level of support was provided for rich and poor households. The intervention comes as details of the new Prime Minister's plan to support struggling households remain unclear after she chose to hold back from publishing the costings for her proposal until a mini-budget, expected to take place next week. However, richer households will benefit substantially more next year from plans to reverse national insurance tax increases implemented in April, alongside the blanket support from the energy price freeze, which will benefit households with the biggest gas and electricity bills. It said this would skew support towards the very highest income households. Torsten Bell, the Resolution Foundation's chief executive, said, last week, the Prime Minister announced a simply colossal energy support package to prevent a living standards catastrophe this winter. The support was big, bold, and, together with announcements earlier this year, amounts to over €2,200 for every household in Britain. Even so, families should still expect a tough winter ahead, with rich households getting twice as much cost of living support as poorer households next year. The energy price guarantee was the right thing to do in terms of providing support where it's needed. But, by ruling out any attempt to fund it through further windfall taxes, the welcome support today could have a nasty sting in terms of higher mortgage payments and higher taxes tomorrow. Liz Truss has vowed to review all tax rates to help struggling households and businesses through the cost of living crisis, in her latest break from Treasury orthodoxy. The Prime Minister's remarks, on her first foreign trip to the US, paved the way for a radical overhaul of the system that could include looking again at income tax brackets. In an interview at the top of the Empire State Building on Tuesday, she told the BBC, "We have to look at our tax rates. So corporation tax needs to be competitive with other countries so that we can attract that investment." Truss had signaled overnight that further tax cuts could be on the way as she strives to boost economic growth in the face of the biggest economic storm the UK has faced in a generation. She told reporters on the plane to the US that the number one thing she wanted to deliver was economic growth, adding, "Lower taxes lead to economic growth. There is no doubt in my mind about that." The Prime Minister embraced a Reagan-style trickle-down approach to the economy throughout the Conservative leadership contest, arguing it was wrong to view all economic policy through the lens of redistribution. However, it puts her on a collision course with Joe Biden, with who she will meet for bilateral talks. The US president tweeted, "I am sick and tired of trickle-down economics. It has never worked. We're building an economy from the bottom up and middle out." In a broadcast round on Tuesday, the Prime Minister defended her plan to cut national insurance, which has prompted criticism as it benefits the highest earners 250 times more than the poorest, admitting it was of greater value to the rich. She told Sky News, "I don't accept this argument that cutting taxes is somehow unfair. What we know is people on higher incomes generally pay more tax, so when you reduce taxes there is often a disproportionate benefit because those people are paying more taxes in the first place. We should be setting our tax policy based on what is going to help our country become successful. What is going to deliver that economy that benefits everybody in our country? What I don't accept is the idea that tax cuts for business don't help people in general." Truss also confirmed she would be reversing the increase in national insurance and axing the planned corporation tax rise in a mini-budget on Friday, which may have to bend the fiscal rules on reducing debt. Some Tory MPs believe that the Chancellor, Kwasi Kwarteng, could bring forward by a year the pledge made by his predecessor Rishi Sunak to cut income tax by 1% from 2024. Business groups are expecting changes to business rates and cuts to VAT to help with the energy crisis, as well as a longer-term review of these taxes. Kwarteng is also expected to announce that the cap on bankers' bonuses will be scrapped. Truss told Sky News she was prepared to be an unpopular prime minister to bring in measures she believed would help the economy. Yes, I am," she said. "What is important to me is that we grow the British economy." She brushed aside concerns about the falling pound and the state of the economy. "I believe that Britain's economic fundamentals are strong," she told the BBC. "We have relatively low debt compared with the rest of the G7. She added, "What I'm about is getting those economic fundamentals right, and what the Chancellor will be outlining on Friday is his approach showing that we are fiscally responsible. We're going to carry out our policies in a fiscally responsible way. And we are going to help make the United Kingdom more competitive and more successful." As politics as normal returned following the end of the national mourning period for the Queen, Ms. Truss's words, spoken after she arrived in New York ahead of the UN General Assembly, marked a clean break with decades of both Tory policy and rhetoric centered on redistribution of wealth. Instead, the focus is now firmly on growing the pie. What the public may think of measures such as cutting bankers' bonuses is hardly keeping the new occupant of number 10 awake at night, as she revealed she was prepared to be unpopular to deliver outcomes she will hope to be judged favorably on. The Tory leadership race was a battle of ideas. And as the hustle and bustle of diplomacy snapped back into life, Ms. Truss will be hoping her low-tax conservatism will win out in two wider fights against the prospect of a recession and at the next election. We have succinctly looked at both sides of the claims and would like to know your opinions on the new tax cuts being proposed. Would it bring UK out of its crisis, or would only the rich get richer? Let's know what you think in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.